Hi, Aussie Radfems, Kiwi Radfems, and international Radfems. Welcome. So, just going to see if anybody's tuning in at all. So this is our fourth go at it, and I think I've actually got the link this time, which would be really nice. So, is anybody there? Hey, is anybody there? So I've put the link in the description, but I'm also going to put it in the top chat. So this time it should work because I watched videos on how to do this after having a very badly failed go at it last time. But while I'm waiting for people to join me, and if you are here, get on the top chat and say hello. While I'm waiting for people to join me, what I might do is just check that my volume's loud enough, do a few technical things like that. There we go, turned that one up. But there was also some news. Hey, Witchy, how's it going? So I take it you can hear me. Please jump in if you're, got all the gear you need to be able to join me. I'm amazed you found us, actually, because I was so late in getting this one up. I told everybody, what was going on in Australian radical feminists with it, but I didn't put a notification up in YouTube until way later. Yes, lol. Yeah. So I'm going to get rid of that group chat so I can see who's in here and who's not. But just trying to find a piece of news that occurred in Australia very recently. And I put a note for myself on my phone. So I'm just going to go through my phone and try and find it because it was a bit of a shocker. Where are we? Okay, so here it is. A young woman was raped by her peers, and basically the judge, who was female, by the way, ended up giving the message, your future doesn't matter, you don't matter, but your attacker's future does. And, she didn't say it like this, obviously. Oh, great. Hey, Beth, how's it going? Looking forward to both of you joining me, actually. But yeah, I'll go on with this news article. Like, this judge didn't say you don't matter, your attacker does, but gave them that message very clearly. So what happened, this girl was 15 years old. She went to a party and she was filmed being raped while she was unconscious. And it wasn't until she saw it on the internet. People were passing it around. Kids at school were passing this around, and that's how she found out this had happened to her. I mean, obviously, she woken up thinking, God, what's wrong here? But she didn't know until she'd seen it. And this is the statement that the judge made, and I quote, "The offender has already suffered serious loss and detriment as a result of committing the offence. The teenage girl was unconscious during and was only made aware of it after being told by friends that a video had been circulated. The boy has been subjected to significant extracurricular punishment in the wake of the scandal. This young person has had to change schools, change residence." The teen's lawyer, I see, and this is another part of it. The teen's lawyer had asked Miss Duncombe to dismiss the charges, which she refused to do, but she said, "No conviction will be recorded given he was under 16 at the time of the sexual assault." But she said a number of factors, including the boy having no criminal history, his early guilty plea, and his apology to the girl would mitigate his sentence. So basically, the only repercussions this boy had at all were social repercussions. And the social repercussions didn't occur until after she went, to the police. Prior to that, it was a funny internet joke. And this is how this judge treated it. It was as though the impact on the rape victim just actually didn't matter at all. It wasn't mentioned. Tired as fuck, just with kids for 3. Oh my God.
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
Hi, how's it going? Yeah, I can very easily. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, I can't stay very long, I think, but I'm here for you.
That's good. And it's working for the first time. I'm so proud of myself.
Yeah. Awesome. They just took my, because I had a strike, so they took my streaming away. So that I started a different channel though, just for streaming. Because actually, I think it would be cool to like keep them separate anyway. Anyway, but so yeah, no, I was just listening to what you were saying, but I had to put it on mute while it was loading. So one more time, there was a rape victim and something about a funny internet joke, and I'm so sorry to
Yeah.
make you repeat yourself, but I
Oh,
didn't.
no, that's okay. No, I
Yeah,
understand what it's like when you join in and you have to
yeah.
miss some of it. No, the these kids had treated it like a funny internet joke because he'd filmed it. Like these boys had filmed it, another boy raping her. And
Hmm.
passed it around all their mates, and not just the boys, they passed it around the girls as well, and she was made into a laughing stock. But then, after she'd gone to the police and it went to court, that's when he had social repercussions where he had to change school, he got bullied online, all that kind of stuff. But then, oh, hey Beth. Had to change school, he got bullied online, all that. Oh, we can hear it in the background, so I think you've got it on, need to pause it.
Or you put the other one on mute. That's what I do.
Oh, okay.
I have like two windows open. One window has the other chat, not our chat, but the top chat, as they say, and I mute that.
Yeah.
And then I, you know, listen on this side, on this window.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hi, Beth.
Oh, hi. Is that
How
working?
are you?
Awesome.
Yes, I think it's better now.
And I think I muted the other one, so that's all good.
Nice.
Yeah, it takes a bit of getting used to with the two windows. I don't know why they can't just do one window and have top chat on there so you can see what the
I
hell.
have no idea.
Yeah, it's really weird setup.
Maybe it's just to control like if people are in the chat and like trying to send links, because I know you can't if you're not like an administrator. So maybe it's just to like not have people spam your live stream if you're like a popular one or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose when people get 50 people or more coming in, it does become fairly unmanageable if you just have everyone on there.
Mm-hmm. So he didn't suffer social repercussions until after the trial. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's how long it took for these kids to even realize that it was rape that is what they were watching. And
really? So what did they just think he had like made a homemade
they thought it was
film?
she was I think it's the porn, you know. And he said he didn't know that it was rape, that he thought it, you know, it was just oh well, she was there.
What?
You know, she didn't.
How old were they?
They were 15. So this is under the legal age in Australia. You've got to be 16 to have sex at all. But, you know, I knew what rape was.
I had no idea that that was the law in Australia. The 15 is the legal sex age.
16, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't personally agree with it myself, but I kind of can't help thinking we need, rather than age of consent, we need protection of minors, you know, which should be far more specific and look at the difference in age and whether there is predatory acts going on.
Yeah. I mean, it's different if you're, I mean, just to relate personally, like when I was 14, that's basically when I became sexually active, but my boyfriend at the time was also 14. So it was pretty, I mean, this was the 90s. I don't even know what kids are dealing with today with all the, because it's all in their pocket. This pornography is just in their pocket.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of
So
scary.
glad that wasn't around when I was younger.
Right?
So,
Oh God, yes. Oh.
So Beth, have you heard
sorry,
about
I missed that there.
Sorry?
Beth, have you
I
heard
missed what you said there.
Beth, have you heard about the story that Aussie Rad Femmes is talking about? I don't know what to call you.
I'm thinking about the right one that you are. God, there's so many in the news; it's hard to keep up. I'm getting really frustrated with the language that they're using. Today, like I was reporting on a 17-year-old girl was raped by an Uber driver in Sydney, and they've stopped using the word rape, like they're using assault or sexual assault. But a lot of people don't. That could be anything really.
That could be anything. That's so vague.
Yeah, so I always switch it back and use very clear language, and no one's pulled me up on that yet, so that's good.
The one I really hate is unwanted sex.
Oh,
Oh, geez. I mean, that's the whole thing with like so much of this, first of all, language has become like so pornified, I think. I wanted to do a live stream about that whole front hole business. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
yeah.
But yeah,
Oh,
just anything. I mean, men do this and they do it all the time in academia and have been for years, right? They take something like rape and call it, what did you say? Unwanted sex.
Yeah.
So it's a semantic game, and I also really don't like it.
yeah, because I think of unwanted sex as being the kind of thing where you have a partner and you give in because it's easier than having a fight, and you do give consent, but it's not freely given.
That's exactly what I thought.
It's not the optimum situation, but it's a far leap from rape.
Right.
Yeah.
And sexual assault, that could, like you said, that could literally mean it's like a plethora of stuff.
Yeah.
So these teenage kids, these 15-year-old kids. So what happened? So he had to change schools, and how old are they now? Because I assume that the states, the way that court system works. I'm not sure in Australia, but usually things take a while. Are they?
I don't know about their ages now. I know they're both 15 at the time. I know that this judge was saying, look, he's already been through all of these horrible repercussions. So, yes, he won't have a criminal record. It'll just go down as a juvenile delinquency issue, and he'll do some community service. So he's basically got off scot-free.
So do you believe that he actually thought that he wasn't doing anything wrong?
I have no idea anymore because of the porn industry and how they're carrying it around in their pockets the whole time. I don't know what is going on in the minds of 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds, because when I was their age, I was very onto it, but I didn't have that influence.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, the most I had was maybe I would find like a tape or something of my dad's. But even then, I mean, when I have a long history like related to porn, actually, sadly enough. But it has, and we talk about this all the time. What has happened is they need to ramp it up, right? So like any other drug, you have to increase the dosage to get like any kind of feeling out of it. So what they do with pornography is that they increasingly make it more deranged. More fetishes pop up year after year. It seems like there's a new one every 6 months even,
Yeah.
Pornographers do that on purpose because they know that they need to keep becoming more depraved so that people continue to watch it.
Yeah. And you've got to wonder what this means to kids who've never actually had sex. They haven't discovered their own sexuality by themselves, let alone with somebody else. They don't even 100% know themselves yet because they're still moving away from the family unit and towards the peer group, and, then to move away from the peer group and into their own unique path. So that process has been interrupted.
Yes.
I think it really screws with their minds, not just sexually, but actually in social interaction.
Well, yeah, because you start seeing humans as something that, they're not human to you anymore. If you watch someone, women specifically, go through such degrading behavior, you can no longer see them as human, and you don't. Again, it's very addictive. It's a dopamine hit. And so it warps your brain chemistry. It warps your interactions with other people. It's a very dangerous drug as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Totally agreed. It scares me a lot. And I think it is responsible for the attitude the male attitude that's getting worse, that objectifies women, and that just, like, I can see it's gotten worse over the past 10 years for sure.
Yeah, what are the effects that you feel like you see in Australia compared to 10 years ago?
Sorry, what was that?
What are some of the effects that you see in Australia compared to 10 years ago? How people were behaving with each other, that kind of thing. What kind of effects do you think you see in Australia?
You're breaking up a little bit, but I think I got what you said. I think like men used to, I'm sure they used to talk about the same stuff, but never openly in front of us. They, would keep it behind closed doors. There was at least a little bit of respect for women, and I certainly remember that at university. And now I don't see anything like that at all. But I don't have a lot of contact with younger men except what I see online, which is obviously going to be the worst kind of stuff as well.
Right, because the internet gives you that anonymous edge, so to speak. So you don't have to be responsible for what you say on the internet.
Yeah.
So all of the worst, most vile stuff comes out online. And actually, I'll tell you like a very short kind of personal story. I was just on a summer camp teaching kids for some extra cash before I get out of Japan. But there was this guy, and this isn't really related to pornography, it's related to just sort of like what they do in their private time. And you don't know which dudes are watching these terrible YouTube channels that promote misogyny. So in the morning, I could hear like sounded like TV. So I'm like, what is that? So I step out onto the balcony because we're in this hotel with balconies, and this dude is sitting like Indian style on his balcony, like one floor below me, watching some like Alex Jones type crap. And I'm like, what's that? And he's like, it's YouTube. He's like, a shooting happened in Florida. I'm like, yeah, but what is that? What are you watching? And he's like, oh, I think it was from InfoWars or something like this. Like, oh, okay. So even though like it's more open, but still you also like have no idea what like average dudes are even fucking doing in free time watching this kind of poisonous YouTube / pornography. It's horrible.
Porn's leaking into other like video games as well. So you don't even have to watch porn anymore. You can just play a video game. And I remember walking in on my little brother years ago when he was playing, what's that game? Grand Theft Auto. And he was like, 12. And I was like, what are you doing? He goes, oh, if I kill a prostitute, I get extra points. I was like, oh my God, stop playing that. And went out and told Dad. And then, of course, I was the big, bad, evil sister. But I had no idea that this game, that was in the game. And I think a lot of parents don't know what their kids are playing online. It's disgusting.
Yeah, Collective Shark got that a campaign up against them and actually won it and got it pulled from, was it Target that was selling it?
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Grand Theft Auto 5, I think it may have been.
Okay. Well, I don't know, but video games, speaking of that, have gotten like so much more not real. I don't think realistic, but like the rendering, for example, the graphics are much better. So it's very much more detailed than it used to be. So you'll watch, people play these games. Oh God, what is the stupid game that my friends are involved? It's like this weird fighting game that it's like Super Smash Brothers, but with like I don't know how to describe it, but maybe someone else knows. I don't know the name of the game. I'm sorry. But what I'm trying to get at is that these the female characters, they always they're like very typical looking, like comic book style, sort of the giant chest with the impossible waist. And because the graphics are so detailed, like everything is, out there and like in your face. Like it's gotten so much worse. And it's just going to head into the direction of like VR, right? Virtual reality. Or like sooner or later they're just gonna jack themselves into something so that they can jack off. I don't know. It makes me pretty sick.
Oh, AI scares the hell out of me. I think I'm so horrified about the people that are going to be programming anything to do with AI, and also the sex doll industry is, I can't remember what it's worth, $40 billion or something. It's horrific.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, I recently gave a bit of a speech on artificial intelligence and how in which it's developing programs that could actually end up being used in porn. And we had a look at the software that's being developed at the moment that can actually turn a few still images into a moving image. And this is being developed by quite a few different companies. And at the moment, it's the elite software. But and it is a bit clunky and you can tell that it's, artificially done. However, it's getting better and better to the point that one day it'll be so smooth that you won't know that it wasn't actually ever filmed. Okay. They're also looking at how they can graft faces onto AI imagery. So what you could end up getting is porn that's never actually happened.
Yeah, or even real imagery. Like, I don't know if you saw that deep fakes stuff that was going on a while back. It was a subreddit for a while. I think they took it down. But basically what it was you can put the face of, I don't know, anyone really, but mostly famous actresses onto, pornographic video. And it looks very real. Like the way that it's done, it's very realistic looking. It's basically like if you had two magazines and you were cutting someone's face out and putting it on, a pornographic picture, but now it's just more advanced and it's a video. So, yeah.
Yeah, very recently there was somebody hacked a dating app and it got women's photos that were having like bikinis and stuff like that. It stripped the bikini off them and put it on a revenge porn site. And used that to blackmail. And that was out in the news not too long ago. And they did actually get sued for doing it, thank goodness. But at the same time, it shows you the abuse of technology and how easy it is.
Mm-hmm.
We just had our first revenge porn case before the court here in Canberra, and it was an opportunity for the judge to really, set a strong precedent. And it was a woman, and she let him off, like no conviction recorded, nothing. She said the fact that he got kicked out of uni was punishment enough. The fact that he's not going to finish his course. And he admitted to doing it. And he said the reason he did it was because he had to prove to his mates that he wasn't gay. Which was this week. Yeah, defense. Yeah. So no conviction recorded. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, this is happening all over the place. Like the case that I talked about earlier, that was in Sydney. But there was another one go back, I think it may have been around 5, maybe 6 months ago, where it was a child and a 17-year-old older cousin. And I think the child was only around 9 years old when the abuse was happening. And he got no convictions against him. And it was he's suffered enough and he's just going to do some community service. And if he doesn't offend in the next 3 years, then he won't have any criminal record. But if he does, then this will come up again.
Wow.
It's a pattern. Just going to read out what is being said in Top Chat. We've got Jordan who's saying, there is a game called Detroit Become Human. It was very revealing. The sex worker androids had their memories deleted every 30 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah, you can see why. They don't want them to remember what's going on. Yeah. And Emily said, hey, yes, deep fakes is horrific. Upskirting will become just taking photos of faces in public.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I do. But I might be able to come back. It depends on how long you're here. I just have to do some stuff. But yeah, I just looked up Detroit just now. And one of the first images is a man holding a gun to what looks like a teenage girl or even a prepubescent girl. So I don't know what this game is about, but it looks creepy as fuck and real. It looks really realistic. So if you just Google Detroit video game and click on the images search, that's probably one of the first images you'll see. I have no idea.
Right.
It looks like a crime thriller or some BS. I don't know. I hate video games. I mean, I've always hated them. So I'm probably not the best person. I'm a little biased when it comes to video games. I think they're garbage and they make people illiterate.
Oh, see, I don't mind games so much. I've actually spent quite a lot of time playing games. But what bothers me about it is we know that imagery bypasses the conscious mind and goes straight to the subconscious. And the subconscious can't tell the difference between something that you're really living and something that is fake. So while yeah, that's a TV show, that's a video game, subconsciously what's going in is saying all of this really happened. And so the effect of that on the psyche is something that we really don't know about that well. And wondering why the silence when this information, I mean, I read about it in 5 Arguments for the Elimination of Television, which was a book written in the 1950s by an advertising executive.
What was the name of it? I'm sorry.
5 Arguments for the Elimination of Television.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I remember reading it just thinking we've had this information for so long, yet it's never been followed up on. We don't have data about the effect it has on us.
Because, you know, who's going to fund that? I mean, obviously TV is very important to keep people subdued, right? This I think lots of media does this. It's very important to keep the people who are making you all of your money, you know, subdued so that they don't realize what's happening to them or they don't think about it enough, or if they are thinking about it, it gives them sort of this salve to feel sort of better something, because that's what TV does. It's very numbing, right? You don't have to think so hard about it. It's not like reading a book or even watching, you know, a film. Which I do love movies, but it's harder and harder for me to watch them lately. But yeah, I think it's an opiate, right? I'm looking up the book right now because I have not heard of it in it.
No, a lot of people haven't heard of it. It talks about the hypnotic effect with the eye movement, and it says there's less eye movement than when you're asleep, when you're watching TV.
Wow.
And how easily that goes through into the subconscious. And I sort of look at this and I think, well, let's have a look at the rise of post-traumatic stress disorder that's just sort of suddenly hit in the last 10 years. It's massive now, whereas it used to be something that hardly anyone knew anything about at all. So, is that partly because we're watching far more violence, far more misogyny, that we've got this on little screens that we carry around with us constantly? Is that part of what's causing this?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think so.
Yeah.
I think also social media, I mean, when we talk about like a visual culture, and I don't know if you read any Chris Hedges or if you've seen his speeches. I know he's not a radical feminist, but he does have a lot of very interesting things to say concerning social media and how it affects us, and what he thinks about it. And um, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself in talking here, so someone else in, please. But yeah, check out some Chris Hedges. He has a lot of interesting things to say. I'm just so tired. I can't really articulate.
Yeah, I think I've listened to a couple of YouTubes of Chris Hedges, but I haven't seen a lot, so I'm a little bit ignorant of that one.
Yeah, he wrote a book called Empire of Illusion, and it's basically about America, and I think it could apply to a lot of other places too, well, Australia and England, kind of the Western cultures. So the book is about why America is so undereducated and basically illiterate, and why the elite class does this and how they do it. It's a pretty cool book. I haven't finished it yet. I'm actually reading it right now.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah. He's a really interesting figure to me. Jordan says, did you hear about this game that we were just talking about? It says you can choose if he kills his child or not.
Oh.
I saw that. Yeah. Yeah. So what was the name of that book again?
It's called Empire of Illusion.
Empire of Illusion. I'm just going to put it in top chat so I can look it up later, and anybody else can as well.
Yeah.
Speaking of books, has anyone read Pimp by Iceberg Slim?
No, I've not heard of it.
Oh, I've heard of it, but I haven't read it. No, have you read it?
No, Dave Chappelle mentions it in his latest Netflix special, and the lines he takes from it are pretty eye-opening, and he seems to have a very anti sort of he seems to have quite a healthy outlook on it. So
yeah,
it sounds
really interesting. Actually, he kind of made a joke about pornography. I don't know if it was the same special because he put out 4 like in the last year.
Yeah.
But he makes this joke where, and this might be a little, I guess not funny to some people, but I think it's funny to men because he's like, I try to find pornography, but I can't look at it much anymore because it's, I can't do the joke, obviously. But he's like, I'm trying to look for things where like they look like they're having a good time, et cetera, et cetera. Like what makes me feel the least gross, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, really isn't any of it. Not unfortunately, it's by design. Again, I'm tired. I was with teenage girls 3 days straight. Please kill me.
Dave says about the book Pimp, he says, Iceberg Slim breaks down some of the coldest capitalist concepts I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
So that sounds pretty cool. And I really like what Dave Chappelle says about the whole trans movement in the US. The fact that everyone, it pisses him off because no one ever asked how black people felt. Like, why is everyone suddenly caring about this? Oh, because white men want to do it. He said if black men or women wanted to, if it was just black men or women doing it, no one would give a shit.
Exactly. It's true.
Oh, yeah. For him to say that's very brave.
I mean, I've always been a fan of him. He, you know, like comedy is sort of like hit or miss sometimes with him, but I do respect Dave Chappelle because I think he left Hollywood, and he won't say why. He never says really why he left, but I think just seeing stuff that he could not take anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's a disgusting place.
Yep. Yeah, he gave up 50 million and went lived on a farm. So
yes. In Africa.
The only one who has left as well, you know, Russell Brand, you know, as crazy as he is, and I do think he's a bit of a nut. But
what is wrong with him?
But, you know, even he ended up saying, look, it's all just illusion. There's nothing fulfilling about it. There's nothing worth being there for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he's gone on this weird spiritual trip now. I'm not quite sure what to make of that. But, you know, it sounds like he's in a much healthier place since leaving Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, he had a kid and I guess he's sober, I think. It sounds like it. And yeah, I mean, that's I think, well, sobriety is awesome. That's just me, but highly recommend it. So what else is going on in Australia?
We've got a new Prime Minister.
Yeah. God. What show that was.
Oh my God, I can't believe it's like an evangelical Christian for a PM.
Oh.
Yeah. And isn't this the dude who did something horrible in Nauru with the refugee camps?
What?
I don't know if it was him specifically. Maybe it was. Was he the one to implement the I can't remember now.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what it was that went on because there's just been so much atrocity with the refugee camps. But I think he may have been the one who was behind, the medical practitioners not being able to go to authorities if they suspect rape or beating.
Oh, wow.
I think that was him. I could be wrong on this, though.
So can you tell me, the person in the chat, Emily, says yes, it is. But
that's good. Yeah.
Can you tell me like what happened? Because I have no idea.
Okay, we had information was coming out of our detention centres in Nauru about what the abuses that were going on with refugees wanting to come into Australia because they get put in detention and it can be anywhere from 5 to 15 years that they're in horrible camps. And these abuses were starting to come out. So our government decided to silence the abuse by putting a gag order on the medical staff who treat the refugees in these camps. And so they can't actually go to authorities and alert authorities of any kind of violence, sexualized violence, or any danger to these people when they see obvious signs of it.
That was when I think they also banned journalists, or kicked them out of Nauru and banned them, a lot of them, from coming back.
Yeah, they did.
So this guy,
graceful parts of what's going on with our government at the moment.
So this guy, Scott Morrison, that's his name?
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's a evangelical Christian?
Yep.
And is he what And he like one of those people like in the United States that has like a mega church, like that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, Hillsong, he's a part of Hillsong Church, so yeah.
I don't know what is Hillsong?
It's Australia's biggest clappy church.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, one of the ministers, do you know who Joel Osteen is?
No.
No.
He's one of those guys in the United States. And when what was some hurricane happened, I think, and he had one of these giant mega churches, and he wouldn't let anybody into it because that's the Christian thing to do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, these guys who say they're Christian, they're such hypocrites. You know, like I'm an atheist, but I mean, I know enough about Christianity to know that what these men do has nothing to do with it. As far as I'm concerned. Even though, yes, I do think Christianity is patriarchal religion. I just think it's disgusting. So tell me more. When did he get elected? Just recently?
We had a change of leadership rather than an election, and we need an election, but I don't think they're going to call for an early election, considering our right-wing government at the moment. If they were to call an early election, they would lose, and they know it. And so we're probably going to have to wait the full term to be able to get them out.
And how long is that?
When is it? Is it June next year?
Next year.
Yeah. It's quite a while. They've got enough time to do some serious damage before they leave.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're in a similar place as the United States, sort of. You have a lot of right-wing people in the government who...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That our government would just love Trump. They'd be like, this guy's great.
I mean, isn't that funny how you always hear about the United States versus anywhere else? Like, kind of hate it, but thank you for teaching me about Australia.
Yeah, we've got a very similar political system. Like, we have the state and federal elections. We've got our right-wing government and our left-wing government, our minor parties, which can be used to get a specific, government in. So it's all rigged election styles and the same as what's going on in the States, because we just sort of looked at that and copied it, really.
Jordan says, how interesting was it that ScoMo, I guess that's his nickname.
Yep.
was tipped last to win, and yet he just somehow won over a woman tipped to win by everyone else. Oh, so there was a woman that was...
Julie Bishop had it in the bag. Everyone said that she should have won. She would have been the best choice for the party, but those men clearly couldn't vote for a woman. No.
Oh, we've had one. That's enough, isn't it?
Oh, and how well did that go?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She got absolutely slammed. I mean, she was the most effective politician in terms of getting shit done. They actually analysed the amount of work she got through, whether you agree with her decisions or disagree with them, just the sheer volume of work that she did was above and beyond any other prime minister we've ever had. Yet, she was slammed by other politicians, the media. She was put down for the way she looked and, all of the misogynist bullshit.
She was a barren spinster, remember?
Yes, that's right.
It's so sad that she's famous in other countries for being brilliant and inspirational, and that misogyny speech is famous. So famous.
Yeah.
But in Australia, we don't respect her. It's sad.
Yeah, it's the same as what happened with Rudd. Like, he did screw up really badly by the end of it, but he got us through the not depression, but when I'm losing the word for it, but, you know, the worldwide economic crisis that went on, we actually fall into that, and we were one of the very few countries that didn't. And that was hailed around the world as this amazing, innovative move. Yet over here, all they could say was, he raised the deficit.
Oh.
You know,
how it's been their own politics. And then when you look at sources from other places, very interesting the spin that happens there.
Yeah, it is really interesting seeing international news compared to national news, because the spin within the borders is really obvious when you get outside of the borders and listen to what people are saying.
Mm.
Now, what have we got here? Emily says her party were told not to vote for her. This is Julie Bishop. And Jordan says, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. No, it doesn't surprise me either. Emma Hussar is another woman forced out of politics by false complaints about sexual harassment.
Yeah.
An interview with her online, says Emily. I'll have to look it up. I haven't listened to that interview. It's on her FB. Check it out. Okay. Yeah, we just had Well Women did a quiz, and it was just asking women to state, you know, what their biggest concerns were for the state of women. And one of the questions was, you know, do you think you need more people in government making decisions, you know, more women? Would that balance it out? And I thought about it, and I was like, no, that's not what's going to balance it out, because a lot of women sell other women out as soon as they get in a position, because they're too afraid to stand up to the misogyny. No, what we actually need is jobs, housing, and safety nets, you know?
Yeah. I agree. I think like what would help, I think more people, I don't know why there's an echo. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I think more people and women specifically need to meet face to face, because what happens, only things that have ever changed government or society at large are movement. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think there's probably a healthy community in Australia. I wouldn't know. I don't have one here in Japan, but that's actually one of the reasons I want to move back to the United States, because I want to start meeting face to face with women who care about this stuff. And I think our ideas are not negative, and I think like radical feminist ideas are actually appealing to a lot of women who have never heard of them before. So I always try to remain optimistic. But yes, definitely housing, safety, security. But
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, please.
I was just going to say, it's sort of very liberal feminist to look at it from a top-down perspective of, if we have women in the top positions, you know, in government, in CEOs, all that stuff, then suddenly all our problems are going to be fixed. And I prefer the other way around, going from the bottom up and saying, no, if the bottom, you know, level of women struggling to survive and, you know, facing homelessness at any moment that something goes wrong, then it doesn't matter how many women are at the top.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of women at the top think that they have to act like men in order to either hold on to that position or get higher the scale.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's very much that whole, you know, 60s, 70s notion where they thought they would change the system from the inside, but instead the system changed them from the inside, you know?
Yeah.
God, well, I hate that whole
sorry, I'm going to be listening, I think, but I got to do some stuff. But I might.
Okay.
I don't know how long you'll be here, but thank you. Nice speaking with you. I'll probably have a live stream on the new channel in a little while, not maybe later this week. So I will be listening, and please enjoy the rest of your. It's evening there, yeah.
Yeah, it is evening here. It's Wednesday night, so
Same.
our next one will be next week on a Sunday, I think. Yeah, Sunday.
Great. All right. Well, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, so what were you going to say, Beth?
Oh, I just can't stand the whole corporate feminist scene. There's a few women's groups in Canberra that I've checked out, and they're very much like that. Like, oh, let's get together and talk about how, how much money we make, and I don't know. It's just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I don't like the whole power suit crowd.
Yeah, it's very elitist because the only people who are going to get there in the first place are in the middle classes from birth.
Yes.
They've got their foot in the door already, and then they're hooking up to gain more power for themselves while not really giving a shit about anybody else.
Yeah. And all of the gatherings that you have to pay to go to as well, and then they want to meet at fancy restaurants and tickets are $100. I'm like, how is this grassroots? This is terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, and even at the bottom end of the scale where you've got women who are trying to make it grassroots, more and more it's becoming liberation costs. It costs to get a venue, it costs to make sure that your insurance covers every possibility of not getting sued. And suddenly the ticket prices get up and up and up to the point that it blocks out women who would love to work towards liberation because they desperately need it, but can't even afford the grassroots level activism.
Yeah.
It really pisses me off. I almost feel like we need to start doing it from people's homes and just going, okay, who's got a lounge room? I
agree. I think that's what we need to do. Absolutely.
Yeah. Or even, if it has to be somewhere public, a cafe where, you can just buy one coffee, for $3 and you're able to be there, or even just get a water knowing that somebody else at the table's buying something,
Yeah.
Sure. Although the lounge room's much nicer and you've got more freedom to speak.
Yeah. It's just finding those other women who feel the same way you do and are probably not confident enough to say stage. I seem
not to quite what, sorry?
Oh.
Okay, so I didn't hear the last part of that sentence. It kind of cut out a bit.
I was just saying I seem to have met a lot of women recently who feel very similar to the way we do, but they're not confident enough to voice it or be part of a group sort of symbolizing that, discussing it.
Maybe in real life it would actually be easier because you don't have, something in type on the internet that if the wrong person found it, they could, get you to lose your job or, other repercussions. Because repercussions today are becoming worse and worse, especially with this bill just passing, the violent crimes. What is it? The Crimes Act 1900, the bill for threatening speech or something was changed, and I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, I know the one you mean, yeah.
New South Wales, it's affected. Yeah. And it's all about written communication, verbal communication, and it's got very little to do with actual violence. And it's more if somebody feels threatened by something that someone said.
It's ridiculous. I can't get over the changes.
I know. I went through it, and you can get jailed for up to 3 years, even if you made an honest, genuine mistake and the other person had no actual repercussions or harm at all inflicted upon them, but they felt that it harmed them.
Oh my God.
And it could happen on, that's even if it happened in your own home, because it includes private property.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just absolutely nuts. Oh, Emily's just said, I have had women at my house pretty often. Cool. That won't apply to women. Jordan Pink, you loves. I'm trying to work out what that's in regards to. I imagine it means it. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Jordan, but I'm guessing that what you mean by it won't apply to women is if women feel harmed, they won't be able to use this bill to, you know, take to court or the law against men or non-binary or trans or somebody who's HIV positive or any of the other protected categories. Yeah, it isn't to protect us, I agree, because sex isn't one of the protected categories. Gender identity is.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it sort of worries me a lot because we've got this, Bridget person who is taking it to the nth degree. I don't know if you saw that there's a man in Victoria who has, had some contact with this Bridget person who's using the Human Rights Commission, to try and get him to shut up as well and possibly pay damages. And most likely is going to use this new bill because it's passed now.
I did see that, actually.
Mm.
I think Bridget just does this all day. I don't think he does anything else. He's like a career litigant.
Yeah. I think he's also really dangerous because while he's doing this stuff, he's actively encouraging other people to do this stuff as well. And it's, we don't have freedom of speech in Australia. It's not like the United States. So every attack on speech is actually, the beginning of a police state.
Definitely. It's frightening.
Yeah. Emily says, we need to really get this law examined in the nitty-gritty so we can navigate it. This law protects gender, not sex. Can we identify as cis? Yuck. Well, apparently we're meant to all want to identify as cis, which is fucking ridiculous. But, to give a reason for that, not everybody identifies with the role of woman, while completely identifying with the body that one is in or partially identifying with the body one is in and having all of those insecurities we've been taught to adopt as women. So cis doesn't seem appropriate.
No. I would like to go back and figure out how these laws got passed. I know that they've snuck them in with the LGB sort of group. They've never passed on their own, but I just don't understand how someone has gone, yeah, okay, that's a good idea to bring that law in. And so then they're everywhere and it spreads so quickly.
Yeah. Go back 10 years and the arguments were completely different to what they are today. There was none of this trans women are female bullshit, right?
Yeah.
But I did see something about, sort of a follow the money article and went into great detail about the sheer amount of money behind this campaign and very powerful people who have a hell of a lot of cash really bankrolling it.
Oh, I read that. That was great.
Mm.
But then I'm like, how does it get to Australia? I understand that it has, this worldwide appeal. But how is the Australian Human Rights Commission going, yes, okay, obviously they get kickbacks. I mean, they must.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But I know with cryptocurrency in the sex trade, the way it works is, we've got people, buying cryptocurrency, which then feeds the sex trade. So because people make money, the more the sex trade and is operating. So the more people who are getting harmed within it, the more money overseas investors make. Now, those overseas investors, if they have a lot of power financially, or if it's a company selling the stock, that company can then pretty much lord it over the government. You know, you will allow this to happen, or we're going to remove this company, that company, and the other company from the stock that we sell to our investors, in which case you'll go bankrupt. So that's how they do it there. So I'm going to take a stab in the dark that this is how this stuff gets put through. You know, you have to back this, or we draw money from that.
Yeah. And you probably get rewarded for us bringing gender identity cases or complaints to fruition. Maybe there's a little bonus in it for you.
Yeah, kickbacks.
Yeah, wow.
You know, I can't prove any of that, you know, stuff. I can absolutely show the links between the way in which companies have put, you know, invested in stock and then withdrawn stock when, you know, decisions have been made, and you can see historical patterns. That's proven beyond all shadow of a doubt. But, you know, when it comes to why is the trans agenda such a hot topic in a country that's only got, 1,960 people who identify as trans or gender diverse from the last census, you know, why is it a hot topic when they could fit in a, you know, the town hall?
Yeah.
It looks like it's probably following that pattern. That's the best I can say.
That makes sense. That whole gender diverse throwing that in the end drives me nuts.
Oh, it does for me as well, and I expect by the next census we can see that, you know, 1,960 people explode, you know, to 20 times what it was in our last census, because it's now trendy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what our next census will be 2020, I think, coming out 2021. So, yeah, it's got another 2 years to, you know, gather this trend and have more people identify in such a way, in which case then they've got the numbers to be able to say, look at all the people we've got. Whereas right now really is the time to strike against this stuff and use that census data that this is a minute population, and we've got, you know, populations suffering that are 10 times that.
Yeah, and to educate people about what the words mean as well. Gender diverse doesn't really mean. Well, I know what it means. It means, you know, you go against the stereotypes of your gender. It's ridiculous that that's included.
It is, isn't it? I mean, I wake up gender diverse every morning. Wow. I think I became gender diverse the second I hit age 40. Yeah, so do you know anything about, you know, methods of conquering this? Have you come across any really good strategies for overcoming any of this stuff?
Anything in particular? Like which overcoming what exactly?
Well, the changes in law where, you know, sex is being taken out of the protected categories, how we can fight against further changes, like, you know, that at some point we're going to come up against the same thing as what's going on in the UK of self-identity. You know, New Zealand's facing that right now. So, you know, we're about to go through that. And how do we, have you seen any effective strategies for undermining and stopping it, really?
I'm not sure how effective they are because they're still happening, but I have seen people, myself included, use the overseas cases as a warning, as an example for Australians, to let them know that that's going on, this could happen here, and to also let politicians know that that's happening. I've tried to convince the Greens not to go down the same path as Labor in the UK. I've sent them lots of stuff. Well, I used to be a member, so we all know how that turned out. But I think we can definitely use what's happening overseas as a warning, and we need more people to know what's going on. Hello.
Hey, sorry about that. The chat disconnected for some reason. YouTube server, I imagine.
No worries.
But it's back now, so that's good. Anyway, you're saying using overseas cases, and that's when it cut off.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's great to use them as a warning, use them as an example to other women, to politicians, to lawmakers, because a lot of people have no idea what's going on.
Yeah. You know, one of the things I'd really love to see happen is, you know, like 10 women getting together and going, okay, I'll take this section, you take that section, and just writing a chapter each and doing an ebook that outlines it specifically for politicians of all the ramifications of decisions and who it affects and why and how and what other solutions are available.
That's a great idea.
Like, I'd do a chapter and I wouldn't mind, you know, putting that time in and knowing that it's going to, you know, work for free. But yeah, definitely couldn't do it by myself. You know, I'd need to find other women who are prepared to do it.
Well, I'd be happy to do a chapter.
Well, that's a good start. We've got 2. We need another. Got the whole thing done. Any takers in the audience? But no, I think it would work because, you know, the ebooks, you can put them on for free up on Amazon. You can then, you know, download it and send it to your local politicians and ask them to really consider what they read, the actual content. It can be done without author names. It can just be done as concerned citizens, you know.
Mm. I think it would be really beneficial if I could get out into the press what's happening to me currently, but my lawyer is very adamant at the moment that the gag order remains, which is very frustrating because I think that would be a really helpful way for people to know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really landmark case because it's one of the first in Australia. And the fact that you've got this gag order means we can't help, which is kind of frustrating for a lot of us sitting on the sidelines going, but I'm prepared to.
Mm. Oh, it's very frustrating. I'm actually I've asked my lawyer to look into it a bit closer because the gag order was from Emotions quite a few applications ago. I'm wondering if it's still valid. So I have asked her to check. And if it's not, I'm quite happy to take this public.
Yeah, good. I think you're holding up really, really amazingly well because I've been on the end of some harsh online shit, but it hasn't entered a courtroom, you know, and I found that there was moments where I was just like, what the fuck am I doing this for? You know, why am I putting myself through this?
I wasn't holding up last week after the mess. I feel much better now that I've just put a few sort of systems in place for myself to keep myself sane. I've got a local radical feminist here in Canberra, so in person, who will come to the cases with me. Well, I've got a lawyer now, that helps. And I realized, like, I just have to keep reminding myself that what I'm doing, I'm right. Like, he's not making sense. He's full of shit. And I just can't let myself lose my confidence and know that what I'm saying is true. I can't sort of fall down the rabbit hole of bullshit when it comes to, like, the trans science and things like that.
Yeah, it's a tough one because it seems like no matter how much sense you make when you're on this side of the fence, people don't listen and aren't interested. And no matter how unstructured the arguments are from the other side and how easy it is to poke holes in them, people just nod and agree out of some kind of fear that if they don't, they're going to be the next target.
Yeah. Yeah, even if I want to get a doctor on the stand or the medical professional to say, human beings cannot change sex. But no matter what I put up or evidence, or even my lawyer, Bridget, was questioning, going, oh, well, she's clearly, what is her stupid catchphrase, stuck on the wrong side of history. Everyone's moved on from radical feminism since then, and her lawyer clearly doesn't know that the law has caught up. It's like, wow.
Well, she's wrong for starters, or he. Radical feminism is actually getting a second wind, and it's becoming more and more popular, with each passing year. When we started Australian Radical Feminists, it was about 3.5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. We had, I think it was 12 people. We've now got around 450. That's how much it's grown. And I don't go out trying to find people. I've always let them just come to us, and it's known as one of the hardest groups to get into because we ask 5 questions before we'll even allow somebody in. Yeah. And often I send them off to 101 and say, come back in a year,
Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah, there's a lot of call for radical feminism that's growing. It's the thing that isn't growing is the courage to stand up and be seen and named and state things publicly. And that's because without a huge amount of people, standing next to you, you become a target, and they can get away with a hell of a lot more against one person than against, all 450.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's growing a lot faster in the UK than here. I did one public speech. It was only I think I was given 15 minutes, and we had an audience of 500 women turn up. It was just, I was like, this is a room of 500 people. This is more radical feminists in one room than we have across the whole of Australia. It blew my mind, actually. I was just like, wow, this is overwhelming. But it was fantastic to see. And I think we could, really take a leap out of their book when you look at, A Woman's Place UK, Feminism, Not the Fun Kind, and all of these things that they're doing over there to raise awareness.
Definitely. Yes, I do. I get a lot of inspiration from Jill.
Oh, she's fabulous. Yeah. Did you meet her when she came over to Australia?
No, I didn't, but I saw lots of pictures of women I'm friends with on Facebook with her, and I had massive jealousy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, she's I've known her for about, God, I think coming up to 2.5 years maybe.
Wow.
So we've actually been like real life friends. I met her on her first visit over here with, what was it, the WOW conference, World's Oldest Depression. And then I went over to London and I was speaking with her there, and then came back over here, and, you know, so yeah, I think then I went back to London, and I've spoken with her in Scotland and in England, North England. Yeah, it's been a really strange way of meeting her, because when I, saw the image of Julie, I was expecting this really tall, foreboding kind of figure.
Yeah.
And I meet her, and she's funny and one of the nicest people I've ever met, and not foreboding at all,
Yeah. She does look very warm, genuine.
Yeah, the image that the media give her is of some kind of nasty, angry person, and it's a really unfair image.
Yeah, I kind of discovered her by accident once. I think I first saw her in a debate with that dickhead Milo Yiannopoulos.
Oh, yeah.
And I just went, oh, this woman is fantastic. She's absolutely annihilating him, and he doesn't even know it. And then I kind of did some more research and have read a lot of her stuff now, and just, yeah, she blows me away. She's incredible.
Yeah. And I find it so funny when, she had her own trigger warning. Literally, it's, T.
Wow.
I think you're succeeding when that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm amazed Sheila Jeffries hasn't had that happen to her yet, because, God, she gets put through shit as well with these lip femmes. Everything is under the fire.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I guess, does she keep a bit of a lower profile than Julie? A little bit.
Possibly, yeah, because she's more sort of within academic life. But she had such a strong influence both here and in the UK. So, it's kind of amazing that we don't have them going, trigger warning, Sheila Jeffries. No issue, issuing trigger warnings for every damn thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand all these warnings. Well, some of them I get, but yeah, not for just people. And this no platforming is just bullshit.
Yeah, that concerns me a lot. Like, it's coming from the States, I reckon, where they've got, their First Amendment rights. And people from other countries are picking up on this and following suit, thinking it's, the way to deal with it, without realizing we don't have an equivalent First Amendment. So, we don't have protection about our speech. When you deplatform, then we get bills like this hate speech bill that's come in that can actually curb people from speaking very valid opinions.
Yeah.
It's already happened in one state. So, yeah, we've got to overturn that and stop it from happening in the other 6.
Oh, I think my computer's going to die, just warning you, or it's going to hibernate or something.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I should probably wind this up anyway, because it was meant to be an hour. And, I said in the thing, most likely going to go over an hour, just because it's all new and it takes a while to warm up to convo too, I think. But yeah, so maybe if we wind it up here, are there any issues that you'd like to discuss in future live streams? Oh, okay, I'm guessing the computer's died because there's nobody else. I'm not talking to anybody else anymore. Okay, so that was Aussie Radfem's live stream, the 4th one that actually worked for a change, which was really nice. So our next one is going to be on Sunday. We'll have a different host. yeah, so look out for that one on Australian Radical Feminists or on YouTube. It will be advertised in our main page there. All right, thanks for listening, everyone. See ya.